So continuing on with today's show, we had ourselves two roster moves that I really wanted to talk about here. And because they're kind of small-ish roster moves, I felt it would be appropriate to put them together in one video. So without further ado, let's talk about the Calgary Flames as well as the Detroit Red Wings. Now, full disclosure, both of these teams are playing later today. The Wings have a game in about 3 hours from now. The Flames have one in, like 5 hours-ish? So this video may not have too long of a lifespan, but I still wanted to talk about these things either way. In fact, you know what, because the Wings game is starting earlier, let's go out there and talk about their piece of news. The Red Wings today recalled center Austin Czarnik from the Grand Rapids Griffins under emergency conditions. So a pretty big piece of the lineup getting added onto the squad, and the projection is for him to play for Detroit later today. And you know what? There are a lot of people going out there and hating on this. Unserious. Is this the talent in Grand Rapids that YZERMAN was talking about? I assume emergency conditions means L6. This isn't Marco Kasper. This isn't Kasper. This isn't Simon Edvinsson. Who are you calling up to replace Sherratt and Petrie? That's not Kasper. Look, a lot of people are going out there and are ticked off about this. I get it. The Wings are losing. They're bad right now. You want to see some injection of life into this lineup, and Austin Czarnik at first glance may not necessarily provide that, but I will say when it comes to what he has been doing this season with the Grand Rapids Griffins, and I guess now, he's listed on Detroit now, he's been doing pretty alright. 26 points, 36 games played. He had 18 games played with the regular Wings and 1 assist this season. Czarnik was never going to be a guy to come over into the Red Wings system and tear things apart with point production, but I will say, for all of the cynicism that is tossed out here in the Twitter replies, there are some very positive responses to this on the Wings subreddit. Go over to the post made by ZZE0001, and you'll see the top one going out there. Oh yeah, by the way, Czarnik is in for Daniel Sprong tonight, so he will be participating in today's game. I get wanting a young-blooded player, but please don't disrespect Austin Czarnik. He puts in 110% and is great in Grand Rapids. He's a solid dude and wears an A for a reason. He's not an NHL regular, not because he sucks, he's just undersized. I'm a huge Czarnik stan since he's quietly become a very effective and reliable player. This is the right choice for a team fighting for a playoff spot. Some of the takes here are a bit wild, but this one isn't. Probably, it's also a boring move though. I don't think Kasper or Mazur are going to do less than Czarnik, and they both have far more potential for upside. We're kind of at that point in the season where we need to gamble and hope it hits if we want a chance at a wildcard spot. Status quo is why our playoff chances are dwindling by the day. And then, what don't y'all understand? The Griffs are in a playoff race. Them young guys need that experience. Our NHL roster getting experience in the playoffs is more important. No, it's not. You can't just bring up kids who have never seen what playoffs is like and expect them to be good. So there's a pretty good amount of debate going on here between the Red Wings fan base. Another reply says Czarnik has NHL experience and he plays a solid but relatively quiet game. The Wings are in a battle for a playoff spot. This move makes sense. I think we would all like to see our young guys up here, but there's no room for error since they've basically backed themselves into a corner over the past 5 to 6 games. Yeah, they can't really afford goals against because of stupid mistakes. Other than the litany of errors committed by the vets on this roster multiple times per game, all the room in the world for those though. I have nothing against Czarnik, but he does not have an NHL skill set, Numb Digits says. I expect he'll be one of the harder working guys on the ice for the Wings tonight, but I doubt there'll be anything to show for it. I get the want for a Kasper or a Mazur to come up into the Wings system, but it's just not a good idea to bring in a rookie right now and try to get him up to speed on systems in less than a day of practice, while in the middle of a 6-game skid where we need to play mistake-free hockey. Czarnik has the experience not to make those rookie mistakes. I love Kasper, he's my favorite prospect, but he will get his shot eventually. It also wouldn't be fair to Kasper to take the heat from any fans if we lose this game. That's a really good point. I didn't acknowledge that. Don't bring in any rookies into this mess right now. They're flying high in Grand Rapids, and they're having fun. And that makes a lot of sense, really, when you bring it up like that. the Red Wings are in a very vulnerable spot right now. They cannot afford to make any mistakes. And so, with Austin Czarnik being the guy called up instead of a Kasper or a Mazur, two young guys who have been very good in Grand Rapids, this is sort of in line with that identity where it's like, yeah, the Wings cannot afford to have anything else go wrong. And bringing up a Marco Kasper or a Carter Mazur, there's a little bit room for error there that exists than what you're already guaranteed to be getting out of an Austin Czarnik. So this is a move that I understand. A lot of Wings fans are kind of hating on it. I can understand that as well. But realistically, with everything in play here, with all the context and the circumstances, I can understand why it's Czarnik getting the call up and playing for Sprong today rather than anybody else who is a lot younger and more, let's just say, suited for doing things in the future. Czarnik is 31 years old, so it's not like he's going to have a long-term future with the team. Now, with this in mind, I wanted to go out there and talk about the other interesting roster move that was made in the NHL today, and it's the Calgary Flames going out there and signing defenseman Hunter Brzustewicz. The 19-year-old inks his ELC with the club. Now, the good graphic is out here and everything if you want to read it. The Flames announced today they have recently signed acquired defenseman Hunter Brzustewicz to an ELC. Hunter is a player that we've coveted in his draft year, and he's having another outstanding season in Kitchener this year, said Flames GM Craig Conroy. He moves well and sees the ice with great vision and hockey sense, and as a right-shot D-man, Hunter provides us with a highly regarded skill set. He was initially acquired by the Flames on January 31st from Vancouver in a trade that included Andrei Kuzmenko, prospect Yoni Yermo, Vancouver's first, and a conditional fourth in exchange for Elias Lindholm. The 6 feet 190-pound rear guard has skated in 62 games with Kitchener in the OHL this season, and he has gotten 85 points, tied for 9th overall amongst all OHL skaters, while his 73 assists leads the league. Brzustewicz was a third-round pick in the 75th overall spot by the Vancouver Canucks in 2023. Now, this is really interesting to me, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about it here, because one of the things that we had seen out of the Vancouver side of things, when Brzustewicz was a Canucks prospect, and there was that hype going around for him, oh my gosh, he's one of the top scorers in the OHL. There was a point earlier on in the year where Brzustewicz was the number one guy, I'm pretty sure. And this season, 85 points, 62 games played, it's really difficult to go out there and discredit what he's done. But one of the interesting points of views that we were talking about with Brzustewicz, especially when he was traded over to Calgary, was this idea that questioned whether or not he actually would be willing to sign in Vancouver. This wasn't like a super big deal, but it was something that I did see leaking around the grapevine a little bit. Some conversations going around debating whether or not he actually wanted to be here, why he didn't have a contract yet, why there may not have been a spot for him, whatever. Like, you could say, okay, well, other right-handed defenseman prospects, the Canucks don't have too many of them. Like, you want to talk about Chet Wu, you want to talk about the Philip Peronics, okay, they're fine, they're players in the system, but like, for Hunter Brzustewicz, there was this floating idea that I did see prevail a little bit throughout the Canucks trade season as to whether or not Brzustewicz actually would have been willing to sign with Vancouver. Now he is signed with Calgary, so all those doubts have been put to rest, at least in regards to the context of the Flames. So with Calgary already being the destination here, I do find it interesting that Brzustewicz and the Flames were able to agree on a contract so quickly. Like, they traded for him on January 31st, and now, just a month and a bit later, he is already on their payroll. The Vancouver Canucks had Brzustewicz for a few years now, drafted him in 2023, third-round guy. It's been almost a year, and they weren't able to come to some sort of an agreement whilst he was in the process of having this really great season. Now, you could debate as to whether or not that's actually a big deal. Like, am I really all too valid in bringing this entire thing up? You could let me know in the comments as to whether or not that is a good thing to talk about, but either way, I did find it interesting that the Calgary Flames were able to sign this guy so quickly. And the Vancouver Canucks, apparently, there was this thing going around as to whether or not he would want to sign here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section about these two pieces of news. Firstly, the Detroit Red Wings recalling Austin Czarnik and replacing him into the lineup with Daniel Sprong. No, I said that backwards. It's the other way around. Replacing Daniel Sprong with Czarnik in the lineup. And what are your thoughts on Hunter Brzustewicz signing a contract, his ELC, with the Calgary Flames? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.